Hey guys, hope everybody's doing all right. Fixing to throw together a day 2 reworked. Finna walk through day 2 in South Florida. Sorry, there's been a little delay. I've been working on the actual videos, so I've been a little delayed on getting another one of these out. Some of you guys really liked them, and you asked for them to keep on going, so we'll keep going for now with these things. Before I got started on that, I was wanting to field a couple questions that kept getting asked. Some of the most popular ones. First off was the calls that I use. I do stretch my own turkey calls, so I have a press, so I do have that all myself. The cut that I use, I blow a ghost cut, which is that call with the big horseshoe out of the center of it. It's just what I prefer. It's what I blow in competition. It's what I blow hunting. Same calls. So anywhere from 2.5 reeds to 3.5 reeds, 4 reeds, different combinations of latex and stuff. But the ghost cut is what I'm most comfortable with. So that was one of the questions. The gators seem to be a popular question, and I don't know, I haven't experimented with a lot. I wear Kenetrek gators. They just seem to fit me really well, and I've actually worn the same pair now for several years. They just formed a hole in them this year, so I'll be having to get another pair next year. I don't know if I'll get the same ones. I don't know. I just like that loading color, really, which is the thing that made me go with Kenetrek first off. But anyways, they're not snake proof. They're just for the water. They're just to kind of try to shed some of that water, the dew, the heavy dews you have to walk through early in the mornings. I don't like knee boots. I almost refuse to wear them. They're heavy, and I just there's not many advantages. I don't wear snake boots. I'm not really fearful of snakes. You can see with day 4, I don't want to be up against a venomous snake, but I just haven't had enough run-ins with them. It might cost me eventually, but I haven't had enough run-ins with snakes to really be concerned. So, anyways, I wear some type of hiking boot. Like Florida, you see me in Keens. If I'm not going to be in a whole lot of water, I'll wear Keens because they're a cheaper boot, and those that I'm wearing is usually a year old because I know when I go down there I'm going to ruin them. As far as, let's see, some of the other questions, shoot, I can't remember. I know that a lot of people are asking, just that people that know me, not from these videos, but previously, about how I live out of the truck during turkey season. That's going to come with a different episode. I did a whole run through. I think we were in Kentucky or Illinois, one of those, and I kind of went through my whole truck and kind of showed you how I set it up. So that's coming. I won't hit on that much here. And then somebody was asking about the leather tote that I use for my turkeys. This is a tote that my buddy Squirrel, which you guys have seen and will continue to see on this project, he made this for me a couple years back, and it's really cool. It's got these metal rings on the end. You just loop it through there. You can loop one side around the turkey's head and the other side around his feet. I got to put a couple knots in it because that's where when I hold it, that's where I kind of hold my hand. He's got like a padded strap on there. It's got my nickname Cove that I kind of acquired many years ago. Some of you guys may even know me as my nickname Cove. So anyway, that's kind of stamped on there. Really cool, really awesome piece that I carry. It's always in my vest. I've carried all the turkeys I've killed since he gave it to me out with this thing, I guess. But that's that. If he wants to make you guys can shoot me a message if you want one of those. He may make them. I don't know. But yeah, I know he made this one for me. He made Courtney one. You've seen her holding her turkey when she's carrying it out. That's what she's got her one too. So that's that. But I guess we'll get on to the main reason for starting this thing, and we'll get it taken care of here. Day 2. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let's see. We'll get started. It was cool this morning. Obviously, I guess you picked up on that. I think it got down into like the upper 30s, which is crazy cold for South Florida in March. Can't say that I've never seen it before, but yeah, it was pretty cool that morning. Obviously, we used the bicycles. We'll jump forward here. We do use bicycles quite a bit. As you can tell, I don't use anything crazy for a bicycle. Chubbs has got a pretty nice ride, but I've got something pretty cheap. Looking to upgrade though, so Um, Camping equipment. There's a couple people ask about camping equipment. Nothing fancy. What do carry a little two burner propane stove. It used to be my granddad's actually. It was something that he had given me several years back, and it's one of the older models, so it still works really well. It's cheaply flimsy made, so I carry that thing with me everywhere. But we do make coffee and stuff in the mornings. But we'll hop forward here to the hunt more or less. Gonna be going down, shooting the bull. Walks in. Several people are talking about water. Florida can be from one end to the other. It can be dry. It can be wet. This particular hunt, it was pretty dry. This area was pretty dry. We do get into some wet stuff. There are years you go down there and you stay wet from beginning to end. If it's a wet year in Florida, I typically wear Crocs because you're wet from beginning to end, and there's no sense in wearing boots. Crocs dry quick and pretty comfortable to wear. So it can be that wet. So people that are asking, is this walk normally wet? Normally, I mean, it can be one or the other. Yes, a lot of times it's wet, and I always say prepare to be wet. Don't ever go down there thinking you're going to stay dry the whole time because you probably won't. But this is pretty typical for walking in Florida as well. Guys saw that before daylight. It can get really thick in Florida. I had an old timer call it crashing. He calls it crashing. If you get off a trail or a buggy path or whatever, and you just start going through the heads or whatever, you can get really, really thick. So this is not uncommon for Florida. It's not very enjoyable, but it's not uncommon. Let's see here. We'll hop forward some more. Here's us. Here's us talking about the ride in since it was so quiet at daylight. We didn't hear a turkey at daylight, which here again is not uncommon for Florida. Osceolas can be kind of quiet at times. We got lucky this season. We got on some gobbling turkeys. Didn't get on a lot of gobbling turkeys, but the ones we got on seemed to be cooperative, and we found a lot of lonely turkeys, which is everybody's favorite. But this is us BSing about the morning. Essentially, we didn't hear a turkey off of the roost, and everybody's always like, why were you there? Well, to be honest with you, here's another one of those experience things. This is a spot that got to give all the credit to Squirrel on this one. Squirrel lives down there, and met Squirrel down there hunting, actually. But anyway, he lives down there, and he had put his ears on this bird before the season. Had heard him in there one time before, and we were going in there after that turkey. This area is not notoriously a highly populated turkey area. It's not got a dense population. So he had heard this turkey, and we were actually going in there hunting this specific turkey. As sure as you can be, it's the same turkey. He's in the same spot. So, anyways, all the credit goes to Squirrel on finding this turkey, and then bringing us in there with him to go in there and hunt it. So that's why we were there. Squirrel had been in there looking at satellite, found some good looking spots, listened before season, found this turkey, and was nice enough to bring us in there. We didn't hear the turkey off the roost, and essentially what we started doing was skirting these big cypress domes and cypress heads that we know that these turkeys like to kind of chill out in the corners of and stuff around the edges and the fringes. Some of that you can see, like where we're standing here, is a little bit more open than all that stuff that we walk through. You can just look at the terrain here. I mean, you can see that the trees they have a lot of separation in them. A lot of sun's getting to the ground, some grasses and whatnot. So you'll see us in those type of areas a lot. So a lot of times that's where we kill the turkeys. So basically what we just started doing was skirting those areas, just trying to put a call into those areas before we actually had to bust through them. And as we're walking, we're just doing some soft talk. That's just something that I do. I like, as I'm moving from one place to the other, I like doing soft talk just like a hen would do. Because in my opinion, if you're walking and you walk up on a gobbler, you're going to bump him anyways. So why not do some soft talk and see if you can't provoke him to gobble before you actually lay your eyes on him. It's so realistic. It's got to be. I mean, as long as you're doing soft talk and sound like a hen walking, and he hears that, it could potentially spark a gobble out of him and save you from bumping one. So that's something that I do. something that we were doing here, skirting those cypress heads. Let's move forward some more. If everything wants to catch up here. Let's see, and this is at the point, let me back up because we've jumped forward too far. I don't know why everything's being so slow at the moment. Okay, here we go. We just struck this bad boy. Alright, you can tell here, we've already sent out the first call, so let me back up just a touch more. Maybe this will be it. Alright, we're laughing at Chubbs eating his breakfast right now. We're going to go right into this. This is kind of where I wanted to start this whole thing. You can listen here. One thing you'll notice when we get to a spot like that, we've been soft calling, and then we get to this where you can see this dome. It's a big cypress dome. It's one of those areas we're expecting that he might be hanging. So before we break in there and get too tight, before he can see us, we're going to stop short. Chubbs actually stopped. He's like, hey, timber's changing a little bit. We might want to pick up the volume a little bit. He's probably heard us if he's there, but let's pick up the volume a little bit to see if we can't provoke him to gobble. He might not gobble, and if he doesn't, you just flat out have to bump a few non-gobbling turkeys. That's just the way. If you're going to be a mobile hunter and hunt the way that we like to hunt, which is on our feet and kind of moving, looking for those vocal birds, you're going to bump a few if they're not vocal. And so anyway, so we stopped. We were going to pick up the volume a little bit, but what we did is, you'll notice in that calling, we start soft. We don't ever stop and just blast them with a call, because that's not what a hen does. I want to basically provoke him to gobble with as little volume as I have to, because I feel like that's most realistic. Of course, if he don't gobble, I carry that volume up until I feel like it's at a, maybe a little louder than realistic range, just to try to provoke him. And if that doesn't happen, if that doesn't work, then we just continue moving on. And that's where we started with this volume. Is we started low and started with just whitting and clucking and softer yelps. And then we obviously pick up the volume, and when we pick up that volume a bit, that's what provoked him to gobble. The volume's coming up. Everything's getting a little louder, and the cuts are getting a little more crisp and on top of one another. Just a little bit more aggressive. And that provokes him. The next thing you'll notice that happens, that turkey was close. I'm going to guess that turkey was about 125 yards when he gobbled. And you'll notice here, he's doing it. He's done it, and watch what the camera does. Here goes the camera, because we're all going down. When a turkey's that close, get on the ground, get some cover between you and him. There's more ground cover with this type of terrain than there is obviously at mid-story, so we get low. That's, I feel like, would be obvious, because we're wanting to get out of his line of sight, and if he begins coming to us pretty quickly, then we want to make sure we're low enough to he can't see us. It's as simple as that. And another thing you're going to notice if you listen here, other than us strategizing, I'm continuing to call. I'm still doing that low stuff. I'm clucking, low yelping. You hear it. The whole time that we're figuring out what we're going to do, I'm yelping, I'm clucking. That's another one of those things I think a lot of people do that's unrealistic, is if they strike that turkey, everything goes silent. I just don't feel like that's realistic. A hen going through the woods when she provokes a gobble from a turkey, from a gobbler, that's usually what she's looking for. She's gonna she's gonna start that dialogue. She's gonna start communicating with him, and that's when I just keep up that soft talk because he's just basically when he gobbles, he's obviously just heard you and his ears are turned on. They're wide open, so he's expecting to hear something. And what he's not expecting to hear is a bunch of crashing, falling through trees, all that type stuff. If he does hear that, it's probably going to help for him to have a little turkey noises in there with it, some clucks and some yelps and some yelps and clucks and wets, whines, whatever you want to do. I just that's something I do. I just continue doing the low stuff even while we're getting ready. The next thing is we start moving. We're trying to figure out how far he is and exactly on his and where he's at. Now we're pointing out what you're going to notice here. You can't really tell much in the video, and I'm still clucking, still keeping the soft talk going. Chubbs is getting all his gun and everything in line, and they're looking over the terrain. And what Chubbs is noticing is there's a little bit. First off, we're trying to gain a little ground. Not that we couldn't have killed him where we were at, but there just wasn't enough cover. As you can tell, it's like this where we struck him, which is sparse trees and just this grass. If you look right to the left, this line, basically right here, you'll see this cover kind of changes. There's kind of a transition there, and this gives us a little bit more ground cover to hide in. We're trying to hide 3 people and a camera, and we've got the sun again in our face. So we're trying to move that, trying to get over and just give us a little more cover. It's as simple as that. And the next thing you'll notice is all the shadows are going to be falling to us because, here again, the sun's in our face. And you will notice, once we get that cover, we're looking for any type of shade that we can possibly gather, which is not much in this situation. But as you'll notice, we'll bump forward here just a little bit. And that's where Chubbs finds himself. As you look, you can see where this shade from this bigger than any of the trees around him tree falls directly this way. And that's where Chubbs hides. Instead of getting on the front of that tree like most people will to kill a turkey, and in most situations that's what you want to do, but in this particular situation, the shade is going to be more important than trying to break up his outline. He's essentially looking around the side of that tree, using that shade to hide him. We've got ground cover that kind of gets up to about shoulder height for him, so that's going to give him a little cover as far as breaking up his outline. What's most important is getting in that shadow. So Chubbs gets right behind that tree to capitalize on what shadow that tree's giving him. The gobbler's coming down right down that transition here of the timber that I just spoke about, but he's in this tall grass and he actually clings to this thick side. Now, what the reasons for that are probably, I can come up with a couple myself, whether they're true or not, who knows. There's a lot of people, and I believe I'm one of them that believes that turkeys use the sun. Some people think it's complete crap, but I think the turkeys use the sun. They keep it at their back. I know Chubbs and I are big believers in that. Denny Golvis is one that kind of, I don't know if he's the one, but I assume he's the one that brought it to everybody's attention with one of his old, I think it was Challenging Pressured Gobblers tapes. And I've observed it many times, and this gobbler is one of those that he instead of coming out here in what would be more open terrain in order to get to this hen and display, he clings to this thicker side, and I almost believe it's because he's wanting to stay directly in line with that sun, because he can see better in that sun, and it plays to his advantage. So anyways, we'll keep going here. And as far as the calling, let me hit on the calling. I guess that's pretty important to this turkey. I just kept that low stuff going since it provoked him, and he hit it a couple more times while we were getting set up, and I just stayed at that volume. I didn't raise the excitement up. The only time I climbed in volume was at one of his gobbles. I yelped really nice and clear right back to him, so that as soon as he gobbled and lifted his head up, he had nice clear yelps coming, like I was responding to him. But other than that, the calling just kind of stayed interested but not aggressive, not to bring his excitement level up anymore, because I could already tell he had advanced toward us. And in this type of cover with the sun in our face, I almost wanted to get him coming and then shut him down so that there might be a tinge of a chance that he wouldn't know exactly where we are. Now, turkeys can hear a call, in my opinion, from 100 yards and walk straight to the tree. But in this type of cover, I didn't want to be calling as soon as he came into sight, because he's going to be able to pin you straight to that tree. So I'd like for him, once he actually broke that line of sight, to have to look a little bit. So that's kind of why the calling never climbed. He was already on his way in, so we just shut it down. We started hearing him drum, and once we were hearing him drum and the drumming was getting louder, we give him the silent treatment. Let's see, and the turkey comes on in here. Just soft talk, just purring. Just those clucks, under the breath yelps, single note yelp. What Chubbs is doing here is cleaning the fast fire off. It's wet in cypress, and with us just crawling, he's got his rag there making sure that fast fire's cleaned off so he doesn't run into any problems there. And then as he just said, can you hear him drumming? And of course I could, and I said yep, and now it's straight business. Everything gets quiet except for the turkey drumming, and you guys know what happens next. We get lucky again. I'm trying to bump this forward without passing it. I've seen him. I see him a little bit more than I can get him on camera, but by the time I catch him, he's kind of running. They're not running, but he's coming up through here nice and quick. Looking, he struts right behind this tree and displays a little bit. Then he makes his move, and he's nice and tight on Chubbs before Chubbs is able to get a good clear shot at him. And there we go. Sometimes you have to aim a little low when you're at 10 yards and shooting through a bunch of stuff, and he's strutting. So, excitement. But anyways, as you can see from the terrain here, this is that thicker that I was telling you about that we were trying to capitalize on. You can see they've got a lot of palmettos that we were using for cover. And you can see over here where the turkey was kind of skirting the edge of, it's open. You've got these grasses, these native grasses and stuff. The trees are a little more open, so that's why we were trying to get on that transition line. That's why we did all the crawling. But let's see, that's about all for that hunt. And now it's fist pumping, shakes, hugs, everybody's happy. So everybody's appreciative. There's no bigger gift than anybody can give you than the drop on a turkey, especially an Osceola turkey. So that's why, you see Chubbs thank Squirrel several times, because nothing we appreciate more than the drop on a turkey. When somebody gives us the drop on a gobbler, and especially when it turns out to be very, very beneficial, such as in this case, we're very thankful. And that's kind of all there is to that hunt. I hope we kind of touched on everything there. Kind of another rundown. I didn't put anything together for this one. This is all, didn't have an idea what I was going to say, so hopefully it all come across clear enough to understand for everybody. Just put out day 4, may put out day 5. I think maybe tomorrow. Probably put this out tomorrow, then put day 5 out maybe the next day. I'm not sure. Day 5 is a wet day. It rained on us pretty good on day 5. Day 6, 7, and 8 are I'm just about finished with 8, but 6, 7, and 8 are some slammers. I mean, they're some of probably my 3 favorite. These are some great days, and 6, 7, and 8 are just as good. They're some of my favorites. So, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this one. Something I haven't been asking you guys to do, which I think is important now. I'm still getting the whole idea behind all the social media and the YouTube stuff. Thumbs up the video apparently helps me a lot. So if everybody could thumbs up the videos would be awesome. Of course, share and like, and keep commenting. Questions, if you have anything that you want to know, send me the questions. I'll try my best. I've got a list. I just noticed that once I turned the camera on, I didn't have the list in front of me. So I've got a list of the questions. I'm writing them down. So maybe I'll bring it for the next reworked episode here. I guess the next reworked one will probably be day 4 that you guys got to just watch. There's a lot going on that day, obviously, as you guys saw. So anyways, hope you guys like this. And we will see you on the next one.